Well, good afternoon, Winning Ways show fans, and welcome to the show. This is coming through loud and clear, and that you're able to hear me, and that we're going to have a very good show. As you probably all know, we've told you we're going to be chatting to Devin Heffer, all about Hollywoodbets and what they are going to do with their business and how they've helped racing in KwaZulu. So I've got two on board. Can you guys hear me? Will you just give me the thumbs up that you can hear what I'm saying? And if that's so, that's great. We just carry on from here. We're going along gangbusters. Let's talk about the news, and the big news during the week, Cartack. The Highlands bred son of Patala Palace, trained by Pete Steyn. Well, that won the second leg of the Winter Guineas, and the very good day put on by Robert Blomberg. And lucky to see and pleased to see he had a winner just before his birthday. His birthday is today, Robert. So happy birthday to Robert. But a very good win. And Pete Steyn, really like Pete Steyn. And he's always been one of those consummate horsemen who's battled his way along. And he's been supported by Bryn and Marsh Shirtliff and Bryn Wrestle, who've been very good to him, and he deserves all the success he gets. And hopefully this will be a July horse for him next year. Couldn't think of a better guy to win. Verson Jetrix and Master of My Fate both had Group 1 winners at Scottsville over the weekend, and my goodness, they were both very special wins indeed. And Breyer and young Gareth van Zyl were the conditioners of those two, and congratulations to them. Dennis's 11th Group 1 winner at Scottsville, which is some type of feat. I remember that he had Captain of All won this race, and he was very bullish, Dennis. I know that I speak to a couple of his clients, and he said to them he thought it would win, which is tremendous. Socrates off to stud after the Vodacom Durham July. One World is there already, so that's it. Hello, Black Swan. Looking forward to the discussion today. We sure are, and we hopefully you've got some questions. Once we get into the meat of it, and we're starting to discuss with Devin, if you put up your questions, we'll pass them on to Devin. What else happened? Well, the NHA were very well. The discussions we had with Steve Reed were very well received by the majority of the racing public, and obviously not one word from the NHA. But I suppose that they've been burying their heads in the sand again, as is what happened with. I can only call it absolute F up with Bernard Fade Herb, and how he was tested positive for COVID and then he was negative for COVID. Well, these things are very fluid, so they might have changed. But really, the way the whole thing was done, we said in the show before the end of June that they should get a grip of what they're trying to do as far as this COVID is concerned. They seem to have all types of authorities in place which are not real authorities, and they make them up as they go along. And really, V. Moodley's got to come to the party and take the jump for it, because he is in charge. Arnold Hyde's is second in command, and both of them certainly need to take a long, hard look at themselves and the way they run that operation. And talking about that, the big news out of Australia is 81 races from the Victoria Racing Club are going to be refunded, okay? And it's very interesting this, because Victoria Racing Club, Aquanita was the company that was concerned from 2010, and there were 395 race day misdemeanors as far as drugs were concerned, or drips or drenches or whatever they were administering to these horses on the way. They warned them all off, and so they deserve to be. But this begs a question. What happened with all the caffeines? They had over 20 caffeine tests, and no one did anything about them. And I know that Paul Loan Donation was speaking to me on Wednesday about his caffeine, and they charged him, and they took away his stake monies, but they haven't done anything about it, and that was 3 years ago. So it shows you how things get brushed under the carpet if they feel like doing it. They charged me. We went to court. We won the case in court because of the way they handled it, but we would have won the case anyway, because it was patently clear through the metabolites that the caffeine hadn't passed through the horse's system, and it was definite contamination. And that is for another story, because I assure you, one day I'm going to get my chance to take these guys on, and I'm going to take them on in court again to get them to pay me back all that money I spent on the inquiries. That will happen. John Moore, leading trainer in Hong Kong, he has retired. He goes on the 15th, it's his last day. They have a rule that when you turn 70, you retire. Well, that means that Dougie White's only got about 10 years left. I think he's about 60, Dougie. He's an old bugger. No, maybe not so old. Anyway, John Moore's got to retire. He's the leading trainer 7 times in Hong Kong. He's going back to Australia, and he's going to train in Australia. So let's now chat about what we're going to talk to Devin Heffer about today. And what's going to be fun about this is Hollywoodbets, which seem to be a position company to Gold Circle, because remember, they both run betting operations, have rescued Gold Circle. And they've rescued them in no small way. They've rescued them because they've given them enough money to be able to carry on trading. We saw the debacle as far as them asking for the 200 million rand that was in this trust fund that was salted away from Clearwood. Well, that was patently badly done by the board of Gold Circle. What they should have done was they should have asked for the 70 million which they needed to carry this thing. I hear they're in more trouble in that anyway. I hear that the grapevine tells me that there are serious problems in Gold Circle country, and you can't deny it, because of the problem being with Gold Circle is that it seems completely top heavy, and there are a lot of people getting paid very big salaries up at the top of the scale that really, when you think of it, are really not worth it. I'm going to exclude Michel Nerek, because I think Michel is one of those guys who is absolutely fantastic at his job. And he has been very good with Gold Circle. Who knows why they wanted to get rid of Michel and that whole bunch, the Thomases and all those guys, all got kicked out in when the new board came in the 2010, 11, that sort of era. Dates might not be quite correct. And then they all came back again. And then Robert Mavis, who was a past chairman, wanted to upstage a lot of them, and Brian Bernard was going to do his whole thing, and he was going to organize us membership at Gold Circle, all of us that joined his group, and we paid our fees and everything, and we got absolutely nothing from Brian Bernard. All they got was, as is what always happens in this business, got a seat on the board. Okay, so Mahesh Chetty sits as a concerned owner's seat on the board, and he supposedly talks for the concerned owners on the Gold Circle board. Well, I'm not sure how that's all going, but it certainly doesn't look like the Gold Circle owners or board members are having anything more to do with with the running of Gold Circle than they had in the past. So we're hoping that they get their 70 million. That's for another special general meeting, I would have thought. And then we're hoping that things can fall into place. But the way the pools are at the moment, and the way the tote's being run, and the way Teletrack's being run, is an absolute disgrace. There's nothing but problems. And people are always on the websites, the keyboard warriors, as they call them, saying this is wrong and that's wrong and the other thing's wrong, and mostly with justification. I can tell you. It seems to me like Teletrack hasn't taken one step forward into the new world at all. They spend most of their time advertising gaming houses who are counterproductive to their own business. And on top of that, they have lots and lots of dead time with that inane music playing in the background that can drive you up the wall. And when they do have people trying to tell you something of interest, those people don't cut the mustard. You've got to have people that are knowledgeable, know what they're talking about, and informative. You've got to be informing people. There's no good reading things from a computer form or a race card, which are there for everyone to know. The form book has got to be studied, and that's what the key to betting on racehorses is all about. It's about study. And unless you study well and study collateral form lines, which you can find in like form grids, I always push form grids because you can find the collateral form lines there. you're never ever going to find a winner. And you might find a lot of short price winners, but you'll have a lot more short price winners that don't win. Then you'll be in trouble and you're not going to win anything. So we're waiting for Devin. He should be with us at any moment now. And when he is with us, we will then have him on the line. So I don't know what message was deleted. I'm waiting for him to call me. And we will then get into our discussion. As I said, right on cue, Devin Heffer. Let me get him on the line. Devin, how are you?
I'm very well, yourself.
I'm extremely well. I've got you on speakerphone, so I hope you can hear me. And I think that all our customers can hear you.
That's good. I can hear you clearly. All good to go.
Well, that's excellent. This is a format that I'm trying to find my way around, and you young, savvy IT geniuses might be able to help me down the line to put this up so that it's in a better format than it is, because I think people might like to see that pretty face of yours.
No. We'll keep to the audio for now, but I mean, it's all about improving, so I'm sure the show will go from strength to strength.
Well, it's fantastic having you on the show, because there are so many things happening at the moment in racing, and you guys have become such big players as far as funding of racing is concerned, that we needed to get these things out there and certainly give you the kudos that you deserve and find out a bit about Hollywood. So I'd love to start at the beginning, because a lot of people haven't seen that interview that I did with you on Winning Ways when we were run by Gold Circle. Your dad started Hollywood, what, in the 2000?
Hollywood was started in 2000, but I think, Owen's involvement in horse racing goes back to the 80s, where, him as a marquee growing up was at Borrowdale Racecourse in Zim. And when he moved down to Durban, he started winning form. And from there, that was his involvement with horse racing. And, as Owen will always tell you, as he tells most people, he's not a bookmaker, he's a punter. And, he even said, the whole thing with Hollywood, it was started by chance. It was started with a bet on CNC in the J&B net that, funny enough, that our new Hollywoodbets random that by Fish Road. And, it was winnings from that that allowed us to buy our first license in Argyle Road, over 20 years ago. It was Shirley Krieger's old license on the second level there in Argyle Centre. So, we started there, and, we've kind of grown from strength to strength since, the small beginning, something that started from chance.
Well, in 20 years, you've grown this company into an enormous company who sponsors and have sponsorships with major sporting events all over South Africa. And I think you're looking to branch overseas as well.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of fun with our sponsorship, especially in the most recent years. Obviously sponsoring the Hollywoodbets Dolphins and Hollywoodbets Kingsley Cricket Stadium, and obviously the race courses, with Hollywoodbets Gable and Hollywoodbets Softball. It's been one of those things, we just love sport, we're really passionate about it, and being able to get our brand out there, we've actually found it's done wonders for our business as well, in terms of, giving our brand a lot more credibility, and I think also the sport betting industry a lot more credibility. And as you can see how it has been in the UK with, the soccer clubs being sponsored there and everything by bookmaking operations. And, from an international point of view, yes, we've been looking to expand. We've kind of got a license going in the UK now, using the brand Hollywoodbets, and starting to grow that. So, we're getting there. Small beginnings once again, we're a small fish in a very big pond there, but we're learning as we go.
Well, you're a very big fish in a very small pond here. And the question the first curveball I'm going to throw you, because you're going to get a couple, Devin, you know me, I'm not going to hold back. What has racing done wrong in the 20 years you guys built from winning form, to probably the biggest bookmaking brand in South Africa? I would be quite convinced you must be the biggest sort of per capita brand in South Africa. And the racing industry has gone exactly the opposite way.
Yeah, James. I mean, it's one of those things. We got to look at, the things that Hollywoodbets does, and how the business was started. And, the whole concept of Hollywoodbets was built actually on a trip that Owen himself went to the Breeders' Cup in America. And that's actually where our purple color comes from. It's from the Breeders' Cup logo. And when he was there, following the Breeders' Cup was a trip to Las Vegas. And if you've been to Las Vegas, I've been lucky enough to be there. And that whole place is run on service, and service with a smile, and how the gambler or the punter is the most important person in the room. And by actually focusing on them and listening to their needs instead of thinking what you think is best, giving them an ice cold beer with a big smile and beautiful people at the front and keep all of us ugly ones at the back. It's amazing what it does. But it's always been about being positive and energy. That from that's how Hollywoodbets has grown. And I mean, we've tried to take the whole old bookmaking operation or old coach shop of white plastic chairs, dirty papers on the floor, filled with smoke, to an environment that's comfortable for the punter, where you can have a good meal, have an ice cold beer, the TVs are working, the toilets are clean, and you get treated like not like king, but also like a real person. So I think if you want to look at how Hollywoodbets success has gone in terms of that, it's all been revolved around the punter. And if we look at our horse racing offering also to the punters, we've always had our Irish objection. That's always been a firm favourite. We've had our deposit bonuses around the main races every year. But it's always about listening to the punters. I'm sure you've seen me as well, very active on African Betting Clan and the forums, in that, we actually end up getting a lot of good ideas by listening to people instead of, being very defensive. And it all boils back down to the punter. And maybe racing has missed the mark there. Maybe, racing hasn't kept with the times. But my feeling is that, you've got to listen to the person, whether they're betting R1 or betting R1,000. Every single one of them is important.
Okay, so now let's talk about your site and what you guys do. And what you've just mentioned is the single biggest problem with horse racing. From the NHA down, okay, Teletrack, the NHA, to their operations that they run, their tabs and whatever, is lack of punter knowledge and communication and acceptability. It seems to be that the whole racing industry has always felt, oh, well, they'll be there anyway, and it doesn't matter. And once casinos came into play, it made it so much more important to be customer friendly. And really, that seems to be the way you guys have grown.
Well, that's exactly it. I mean, and, that's still a goal for ours, is to keep educating the customer. I think, pre-1994, when horse racing was the only legalized form of gambling, there was a monopoly. But now, where there's other competitors, you can either, better your product and compete, or you can get, kind of complacent and fall behind. And I think, that's where, from our side of things, we've always focused on that, in that communication and educating your clients has worked wonders. And, you can also go with technology in the sense of keeping up with the times, the advancement of mobile and improving your product. That's always been a big focus of ours, is improving and creating and improving our own software, and looking at ways and looking at things that benefit the punter at the end of the day. And I think, it goes back to that thinking of a punter. Thinking like a punter, also helps your customers, because you understand, their needs and are able to work on those.
So you then build your brand into what it is today. On horse racing is where you started. Your initial play was probably 100% horse racing. What do your figures look like today as far as horse racing betting compared to all the other products that you offer, which is soccer, bet game, numbers, all types of things that you offer? How much has horse racing declined as a product over the 20 years you guys have been there?
Yeah, I don't think declined is the right word. I think the fact that soccer betting and numbers betting has grown significantly. We in the horse racing, horse racing still plays a very big part in our business. I think soccer and numbers has outgrown this in terms of probably a turnover perspective. But horse racing still plays an important part in what we do. But I think where soccer betting and all that has really, South Africa was kind of unknown to soccer betting as late as in 2007, 2008, where it really started taking off. And since then, you can see shops now around South Africa that are just soccer based or just numbers based. And unfortunately, I think it's that lack of knowledge, or where a lot of effort and a lot of marketing and a lot of education has gone into teaching people about soccer betting and numbers betting and how easy and quick it is. I don't think the same can be said of horse racing from a wider perspective. But from our side, horse racing still plays a significant part in it. But I can pretty much say that soccer and numbers has outgrown it.
And how would the graph be as far as you guys are concerned in turnover per annum on your horse racing? Because horse racing is our core business. That's what we want to talk about. I know all these other things come into it. Has your graph gone up, or did it get to a point and then flatten out, or how does it look for you guys?
I think personally, when I say personally, I say something about the Hollywoodbets. Our graph has gone up. I think as we've grown, we're starting to get a bit more of the customer market and our market share. But our numbers, as much as there is a lot of things happening, and unfortunately a lot of noise that's happening in horse racing, we seem to be improving, and we seem to be going up, and maybe we take that back to our sponsorships or our involvement in how we treat our horse racing customers. But everything has been positive from our side, and we're still on the incline.
Devin, the open bet is talked about often as a problem as far as racing is concerned. Give us a lowdown of how important it is to you guys. How much does it contribute to your turnover in horse racing? And is it what the operators say it is?
No, yes, James. I think, I knew this question was probably covered, but, with regards to open bet, you've got to look at some myriad of factors. The first thing is that, one, the open bet is legal. It's something that when it was passed as legal is, you've got to get with the times and move on. You've got to look at other ways of competing with your competitors instead of harping on the same thing that doesn't work. The second thing is the open bet's been around since the 70s. So, it's probably way before my time. So, it's one of those things that it's always been there. From our perspective, yes, it does contribute to our turnover, but when compared to fixed odds betting, our fixed odds betting is way more than our open bet. And I think, the storyline that keeps going with open bet is that, it doesn't contribute to horse racing, which unfortunately is a bit of a false statement in the sense that, all racing bets get taxed. There's a 6% horse racing tax on all bets, whether they're open bets, fixed odds bets. And through that, money goes back to the operator as well as the tax man. So, so your 6%, half of that goes to the gambling board, the other half goes to the horse racing operator. So that's 3%. Plus, you've got to get taxed on all of that. So we're almost looking at about between 25 and 30% of our gross gaming revenue is going back into horse racing. So when people keep blaming the open bet, it's a bit of a false narrative, because I don't think that is the real policy. problem at the end of the day. It's you've got to look at the other factors of why people aren't getting on the phone and start focusing on how they can improve the turnovers there and not necessarily through extra products or different things like that. I think it's got to boil down to service, education, and access to those people.
So what you're in fact saying is that the industry should get on with it and actually try and up their act again, but to make sure that they get a piece of the pie. And from what I've heard so far, and this would probably be what you're advocating, is that you've got to give them decent facilities to be able to bet in and educate.
Yeah, well, it's not only facilities. It's access. So making sure that, not only have you got working online and mobile platforms, but you also got to make sure that your operations are 24 hours, or that the service you're giving them on helplines, social media, people on the ground, it's got to be transparent, it's got to be clear, and it's got to get the message across. And we just got to look at the growth of soccer betting and numbers. And from our own business perspective on how those products have grown through our approach in making sure that we communicate those nice and clearly and educate the people. So, that's the thing. We've got to go back to that. In that, not only is it facilities, but it goes back down to service. You've got to keep talking to your customer and find out ways to move forward as opposed to staying where you are and keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
All right, that makes absolute sense. What is the benefit to you guys of the amount of money you pour into these competitions? Is that just because you want to get yourselves out there? Firstly, the grooms initiative is unbelievable. So you give you're giving the grooms 9,000 or 10,000 rand a meeting just because you want them at the forefront, and obviously it's good PRO to show that you're giving something back. But then you've got all these other competitions which you've got going, which certainly bring a lot of visibility to your product.
Yeah, no, for sure. Just to touch on the grooms initiative, it's something we're extremely proud of, that we are part of. That extra 1,000 rand that winning groom gets is major, especially, when you're looking at the stake, that grooms would normally get. 1% of stakes, they might walk away with 600 or 700 rand from winning a maiden place, and that's probably before the stakes reduction. Adding another 1,000 rand on top of that is a huge significant amount for a groom. And the important role they play in racing, and in terms of looking after the horses and basically living with them day in and day out, working together with Gold Circle on this initiative has been fantastic. And we've just recently had our 500th winner of the Grooms Initiative, which means now between us and Gold Circle, there's been 500,000 rand given back to the grooms over this time. So that's been a fun initiative in the sense that also it's rewarding, those that perform. So it's not rewarding, just everyone. It's about those who are really keeping and hopefully improve their actions and their trainers' yards. But going to the other competitions, as the Punters Challenge, which we now do in every K&N race meeting, has been a lot of fun. It's one of those things. We used to have Hollywoodbets back in the day, which was the daily competition, and it grew a bit tired, and we have to look at a way of making it a lot more fun. How could we get it where a guy or a punter can stay in this competition throughout without getting eliminated, if you've missed a winner or two. It's about finding that out. I know you enjoy playing the game, James, and we've had a few discussions around it, but it's all about the punter at the end of the day. It's giving, and not only that, because it's a free-to-play competition for all Hollywoodbets account holders and Tag Gold account holders, it also allows us to introduce the game to a wider audience. Instead of asking people to take their money and bet on horses, they can start learning about the game of horse racing by playing this free game and taking their picks and following their selections throughout the day, throughout the racing.
Well, to me, it's the most fantastic initiative. And the big plus is obviously it's free to play. What I'd like to ask you, the spin-off from this, how many new account holders have you guys picked up? Because I see you've got about 2,500 people playing this, okay? Every single race meeting, there are about 2,500 entries, which is an enormous amount of entries for a competition that's run bi-weekly or whatever.
Yeah, no, it has been significant. And we've seen probably about just over 8,000 unique accounts that have signed up. So, I mean, there's a huge base of people that have started signing up to play this game. And it's now trying to get them to play it on a regular basis. And that's, from our side, we're working on our customer relationship to build that up and get them playing more often. And the exciting thing is that we have seen an increase of punters that have come through that channel, who have started playing with us. And obviously now, as we build up towards the Devin July, we trying to improve this game as much as possible and improve the access to it. Because on July Day, we've actually lined up 100,000 Rand in cash prizes for the day with R1 million on the card that someone can tip all 10 winners.
That's unbelievable.
It's possible, but it can happen. So.
Now that is as phenomenal. I see guys pick 6 out of 9 winners regularly on your competition, which is damn good going. I haven't got close to that type of picking, but these guys are obviously well versed and understand what they're looking for. And if Marcus wins races, boy, they're going to win the competition.
Well, that's the beauty of it. And what's nice to see is that you've got a lot of guys who you can see are horse racing countries who are playing. And then you also get a few of the guys you can see that are normally lucky numbers players or soccer punters who are giving, it a go. And they're finishing in the top 20 and trying to follow horse racing from there. So, yeah, no, it's been a very exciting competition related to that.
I was pleased to see our friend Jason Dedekind won. It takes some doing to win this thing. I know I've been trying and I haven't got close, but as I say, it takes some doing, and well done to him. So he's one of the sports journalists. He's been in this business. He obviously studies hard, and we all study hard, but you've got to put everything together. Then you've got the trainers and the jockeys and the grooms and the horse competition, which comes to an end at the end of the season. That's phenomenal as well.
Yes, that was another thing that we wanted to put, put some energy into racing in KZN and differentiate it from the rest of racing in South Africa. And, we've been allowed to do that through our sponsorship with, the race courses as well as the dog circle. And the initiative around that was to try and encourage trainers to race their horses more often, to ride out their mounts more often. It's been fantastic that in this second edition of it, we've included the apprentices and the grooms in it. So, they've also got an incentive to really work that little bit harder. There was a great interview in Sporting Post the other day with Jason Gates, one of the young apprentices. He said he's riding up every mile because whether he finishes 6th or 5th in the race, it's another point in challenge. So, it's been fantastic to see, the jockeys and trainers take to the challenge and think about it. Matt, our good friend Matt, he performed very well in the competition that we did from December to February. And what was nice for his owners was that, instead of their horses sitting in the barn, they were out there racing, often getting those points and, getting a nice return from it at the end of the day. And I think that's what owners want. You want to see your horses running, and if this competition encourages it, then I think we're doing something right.
Well, you look at the ownership in horses, and this is what I want to talk about next. You guys have sponsored a lot of trainers, jockeys, and bought horses now with James, and you now got Anthony Del Pesce aboard as your ambassador. You seem to be doing things right, but you now know what it costs to keep a horse and how painful it is to have a horse that's not running. So how do you get your involvement with your punters and your customers involved in these horses? I see you have naming competitions and that type of thing. Tell us a bit more about your model as far as the owning of horses is concerned.
Yeah, so, we've owned horses as way back as 2002. And actually, Mr. Lafferty trained our first winner And it's grown from, it kind of went through a bit of a dip. And in the last 2 to 3 years, we've really started getting involved again. I think that's kind of grown with our trying to revitalize racing and giving more support to the trainers out there that need it. And, we've started building great relationships with them. We now own just over 80 horses. And yes, we know the bill that comes with it, and we're learning the hard way. But what's nice about it is, especially now with the involvement of a guy like Anthony Dalpesh, a 3-time South African champion jockey who knows the horse inside and out. And his passion that he brings to the whole thing is just next level. But talking about how we get involvement from the public, our biggest thing is we try to be as transparent as possible with our runners. So we've got a website called syndicate.hollywoodbets.net, which covers all our Hollywood syndicate horses, so you can learn about them, you can see photos of them, they're breeding. James Everett and Anthony do fantastic previews on every race day that we have runners, giving comments from the stable, how we think they'll perform, and what's quite nice about it, it's quite honest as well. So it's not just always a back end of quartet kind of thing, it's about, listen, if it finishes in the top half of the field, you'll be happy. But, sometimes it might be this horse's last chance. But, we saw on the trial to find a winner, not a winner, a big feature runner. We had Seattle Force running this weekend. I think in the
Derby, yeah.
In the Derby, yeah. So we're quite excited about him. He performed really well when he was up there in Johannesburg in the half off, and he came down here he's now with Daryl Moore, and is actually also just trying to refine that form. So you never know when he might just click. But it's been using social media, giving people as much coverage about our horses as possible, and especially our punters, and the guys have appreciated the transparency.
How do you get that out to people? Because I'm a Hollywood customer. I don't know where I'd start to look for your information.
Okay, so we've got we've got our website, we've got our Facebook page, which is Hollywood Syndicate. We share all our information on there. We've got about over 1,500 followers who are following us on there. We've got our we've got our horse racing mailers that we send out to customers. You're going to have to get you to Austin, Jay.
Yeah.
And we send information not only about the week's racing, but we include winning form, best estimate, and then comments on our syndicate runners and those mailers. So if anyone wants more information about it, they don't get those emailers, they're more than welcome to contact me, and we'll make sure we get them on the mailing list.
Okay, how do you react to the discussion about you guys support only Zimbabwean people, because it seems like you have a lot of Zimbabwean support. Do you have others? I know that you have Com Naidu, he's not a Zimbabwean, and he's on your roster. Do you tend to look after the Zimbos? I know you guys are Wenwees, you always say, when we were in charge.
Well, I mean, it's funny, that people might say that, but we've got horses with a number of trainers. We've got with Garth Fuller, Paul Lafferty, Stuart Pettigrew, Glenn Costin, we've got Brett Crawford. So I think it goes way beyond just Zimbabwean, trainers. But I mean, if people want to assume that, that's fine. But I think as long as you're getting winning horses at the end of the day, that's what's most important.
Well, it certainly makes a difference to have people like you involved. And I want to finish off, Devin, with the thing that's the most pressing point. And this is something that I'd like you to put us in the picture. I know you came up with this saddlecloth number being the draw number. And I can only tell you that I've had negatives about it from punters. Punters do not like it because it messes up the race card as far as handicapping is concerned. We know about the top weight being the best horse in the race. Now it doesn't happen like that. What happens is the horse is drawn one is the top of the race card, which does make it a lot more difficult to study form, and that's what we're all here for. How have you guys found this to be successful, or are you going to tweak it?
Well, I think same from our side. I think one, yes, the negative people normally shout the loudest, but we find that actually a lot of positives that have come back from race followers who have enjoyed it. The concept works at the moment in North America and South America, and very well. For someone like Owen, who's involved in this initiative, he's been studying form since he was 10 years old, and he's found it easier, he's found it better. We know a lot of other tipsters who have told us that, it's a great concept. And the thing is, if you're a good punter, you're not just looking at horses number 1 and 2 and 3. You've got to look at the whole card. You've got to take all into account the weight for merit racing, the weight for age allowances, that sometimes doesn't mean you're going to have horses in the absolute order. So for us, it's been one of those things. We've been trying to differentiate taken in racing, and we've been trying to make it also more accessible. The fact, when you watch that race jump, you don't have to look to see in the race card what your horse, where your horse is drawn. You can see it immediately, with the bright colours on the front of the gate stalls, with the saddlecloth, with the groom splits in the parade ring. You can see everything quite clearly. And, also from a punter's perspective, if you've got scratches, you also don't have to worry about now your horse is going down, say there's 4 scratchings. If your horse is in the benchy number 9, now it's jumping from number 5. The reserve runners come into those scratch places. So as much as, some people might find that, the studying has become more difficult, I think, if that's the case, it's going to open up a lot more opportunities for the shrewd punters to get more involved. But we think it's just one of those things that people don't like change. Some people adverse it, but, and the other things of it, we found that it has improved racing, we've certainly seen it in the numbers. KPR and racing schools are the only schools that have increased. So, take that from what you will. If it was so negative, I think we would have seen a bigger negative impact. But I think it just goes back down to the fact that people don't like change. And, but we see it as a positive, and we're quite happy with it. And it's quite interesting to see that yesterday on Sporting Post it was announced that the Durban July is going to be maintaining the same principle, which, we're quite excited about.
Well, okay. I love to hear your side of it, because all I can tell you is I've had nothing but negatives. From my side, it's a negative. And I can tell you that American racing, certainly North and South American racing, is on a totally different basis to what we have, because what they do in those countries is, in America, they have 1 and 1A because they're stable couplings, you see, and you can back 1 and you get both of the horses. On top of that, they do not have handicaps like we have. We have handicaps here non-stop. We race basically handicaps. And handicap is the top weight is the best horse. Now, I never ever make a suggestion without having an answer. Okay, so I'm going to just give you something to think about. And I've discussed it with a lot of people, but this is what I would come up with. I like the numbering and I like the number cloths, and I think that that's absolutely perfect. But I think that what should happen is that your number cloth should remain your barrier position, okay, which is the color, but the number on the horse's actual number cloth should be the number that he is in the race card. So the numbers become interchangeable. All you do is you change the numbers on the saddle cloths for the number that the horse is in the race card. Instead of having it on draw, you still have the numbers top to bottom in the handicap, but your draw numbers are color-coded, which is, I think, the best of both worlds. So I'm throwing it at you, Devin, saying to you, have a look at it, because I really mean it. I have not seen one punter, and we've just got these guys writing up here. It doesn't work for form studying, Jimbo, whether they like it or not, makes form study long and cumbersome. It does. And I use form grids. And what I do is I go on form grids to go top weight to bottom weight, which shows exactly what the best horses are in the race is concerned. So it's a great idea, but maybe it needs a little tweaking.
No, I think that's a fair comment, James. And, it's one of those things we're always happy to take it back to the team and discuss it. But, as you said, we found it to be quite positive as it was. But, I think, you make a fair comment, and it's always good to get feedback. So, I'll definitely pass it on.
Okay, great. Now let's talk about the July. And you guys are obviously betting on the July with a Hawam out of it. How do you see the July? Have you got any strong thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Hawam being is quite disappointing. I thought with the July being behind closed doors now, it was probably the best opportunity for him. With no crowd, he would have had the best opportunity to kind of get in there. But, since then, our anti-coach betting has pretty much reflected that all the money at the moment is on Bulgarian. He's looking at, the favourite at the moment. And then, there's been a bit of money on Vardy and got the green light. Obviously, got the green light, had a really good performance the other day for James Soma. Those are the main horses at the moment. But, Rainbow Bridges win in the Hollywoodbets Gold Challenge, and from what we've heard, he was only at about 80%. He could be absolutely primed for July Day. So, it's one of those things that, we're quite looking forward to. I think the whole day itself is going to be really interesting to see how we all adjust and cope with it being behind closed doors. But, we've got 2 sponsored races on the day as well, the first and last, and, we're looking forward to it.
And what plans have you got for your patrons on the day that they can look forward to? Because obviously betting, your shops can only take 50% capacity. How do you get people in? How do you turn people away? Have outside areas that you're going to put up tents and that type of thing? How's it going to work for you guys?
Yeah, our operations team has been working non-stop to make sure that we can try and cater for as many people as possible, but at the same time trying to keep within the lockdown restrictions. We are in unprecedented times. These are, times that you've got to learn, and you've got to learn to adapt. And luckily, with the shops reopening 2 weeks ago, we've been able to learn every single day because, trying to maintain, social distancing. In all our shops, we've had to remove all the tables and chairs. So it's actually just been a walk-in, walk-out situation. A lot of we do have what we call express terminals that are actually based outside the shop. So, some countries don't even go into the actual store. But the only thing at the moment is also at the same time, while we have those people, queuing up to get into the store, we've got our team hard at work trying to get them to open mobile betting accounts so that we can assist them on July Day without having to come through to the store to take their bet. It's going to be different. It's going to be very interesting. But, we are definitely looking at all the different aspects of it and how we can make sure we can take it to everyone.
Devin, I want to finish off with firstly congratulating you on your sponsorship of Hollywood, Greyville and Scottsville. But more importantly, you're coming to the party and saving Gold Circle from going into business rescue, because I think that's where they were going, by making available 40 million rand to them. That is a huge amount of money. How have you secured it, and what is it all about? Why did you see it as being so important for this to happen?
Well, James, I think, with our involvement in KZN racing over the last 12 months, we've grown very, close to, even more so to racing. And, with this whole, COVID kind of really, sticking a nail into what's been happening, there was big problems. We had seen with Formula going into business rescue, and with KZN racing, still being on the up. The last thing we needed also happening, not just us, but the horse racing industry as a whole, was for Gold Circle to go into business rescue, especially during the champion season. And being able to facilitate them with that loan and be able to continue the champion season, you've got to agree the racing has been magnificent over the past few weeks. Having graded races every single weekend has been just phenomenal. And I think that's, what it always comes back down to is racing is what we've got in the heart. We've announced it many a time. We try to stay out of politics. It's not our place. We've got our own business that we like to focus on. But at the same time, if there's a way that we can help horse racing, that's what we're there for.
Is there a way you'd like to longer term get involved with the running a Gold Circle? Would you'd be happy to help them out, because I must tell you, you just seem to be a breath of fresh air as far as where we are going as far as racing is concerned. And I really did believe that they need to get people in who have made a success of their businesses in the last 20 years rather than people that have actually run businesses into the ground.
Yeah, well, we're working very closely with Gold Circle, not only at the top level, but also the guys on the ground. Our marketing teams, as well as their people on the floor. We've been working a lot over the last 12 months, and James, as much as there's a lot of negative things that get said, there are some very good people that work there, and people that we've seen that have really come to the fore and really come to the party, and so the potential is there. There is a ray of hope, as so to speak, and we as long as we can, every partnership we go into, whether it's cricket, whether it's rugby, we try to lift the people that we're working with, and try and bring some positive impact that we can bring to the party so that we all become better. And, Gold Circle, we've got to look at it. If you compare them to the previous year and racing that's been happening, things have started looking better, maybe not so much in the border side of things, but at least there's some action happening. There's some excitement and talk around the training yards, and there's some excitement amongst the punters. Yes, sometimes it's a bit contentious, but at least people are talking. So, it's one of those things we've got to keep continuing to work together with Gold Circle and keep trying to improve the product, and hopefully, we can achieve great things.
Well, Devin, all I can say is I really appreciate you coming on the show. We've had a good 40 minutes discussion. I think that we've covered anything. Is there anything that you'd like to cover or you'd like to put out there before we close it?
Nothing in particularly, James. I just think it's one of those things. We're really excited about our Punters Challenge competition that we just encourage more people to get involved with. Get your friends and family involved in. I mean, it's a free-to-enter competition, and it really teaches people about racing as well, and racing in KZN in particular. The colours of the saddlecloth and all that has really, given us, kind of this whole burst of energy, and just like our sponsored race name suggests, there's a bright future. And that's what we want. We want a bright future for racing, and we just hope that, through these competitions, through our sponsorships, and through everything else, people will continue to see that, not all bookmakers are involved for their own, that, we're trying to grow the sport and we're trying to give back where we can, and at the same time, grow the pie for everyone and make it a better product.
Well, all I can tell you is you don't have to hope. It's happening, and congratulations on everything you've done. You have a wonderful product. You've proved that you're as good as there is in the market. And thank you for joining us. And long may you guys succeed, because with people like you succeeding, the whole horse business will succeed. And we look forward to you having a very successful July. And thank you for joining us, Devin.
Cheers, Dan. Thank you very much, and thanks for all the listeners.
Thank you so much. Devin Heffer. It's just very interesting to chat to these guys, because here you have a man who has been in the business for 20 years. Okay, he's born and bred in it, but they built a business in 20 years that has grown exponentially throughout the years and never really had a blip. And all they've done is they've looked after customers. What does that tell you? We've got a business in 20 years. We've denigrated and ruined it, okay, by not looking after customers. The customers moan about Teletrack. They moan about the NHA. They moan about the presentations. They moan about the punting. They moan about the controls. They moan about all these things because there's something to moan about. Racing needs to catch a wake up. We need to get off this high horse band that we're on and start listening to the public. There are people out there who really know something about this business, who really can give them some advice. And hopefully they'll take my advice and they'll start interchanging the numbers on the number cloths and keep the colors for the draws. Because surely that's the right way around it. It makes absolute sense. No one, and I know Devin says that the people that like it, but I can tell you, no one likes the system. So make the system work for you. You've got the numbered stalls with the number cloths number on them, and that is, you just change the numbers at the top of the stall. Every race you change the numbers. So number 1 is jumping from draw 7. He'll have number 1 on his number cloth, okay? And he'll have number 1 on the top of draw 7 starting stall, and he'll wear draw 7 starting stall colors. It's simple. Let's get with the program. I hope that's given them something to think about. I think that it might be the right way around it. And I really appreciate you all coming and listening. And nice to have Hilton. I'd love to get Hilton on the show because there's a few things I'd like to talk to him about. But he doesn't seem like a keen starter. There's a July coming, Hilton. You're one of the best punters around. Come and get on the show. We can talk to each other. You know that I'm going to put you in a corner. But at the end of the day, you'll be able to crawl your way out of it. Hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy the Punters Challenge from Hollywoodbets and enjoy the racing. Great racing at Scottsville tomorrow. I'll be giving my preview. You've got a Winning Ways show on YouTube, and you'll be able to see the lot. And you'll be able to watch this show if you haven't watched it. Please share the link that I'm going to put up there with all your mates. Let them all subscribe. Because there's only one way my show can survive. There's no money in it. We don't make any money. We don't get any money. We don't get any sponsorship money. I do it for free. The same way as Hollywoodbets do all their competitions for free. But they get customers. I haven't got any customers. So let's go and enjoy our weekend's racing. Should be fun. From me, James Goodman, and the whole Winning Ways show YouTube channel. Enjoy.